Welcome to the Keenan Lake Show on SIBN Radio. Keenan Lake is the author of the book My Daddy Taught Me That, published by Welcome, a social worker and activist. You can like this show's fan page at www.facebook.com/The Keenan Lake Show on SIBN Radio. Feel free to post any comments, questions, or requests for his book on the fan page. Now let's go into the studio with your host, Mr. Keenan Lake, and co-host, Marcus Select.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us right here on SIBN Radio, the Keenan Lake Show, live and on demand. And don't forget, you can also listen live and on demand at www.mydaddytaughtmethat.com. Keenan, what's going down, man? How are you feeling today?
Coach, I am doing well. Doing very good, Coach. It's a beautiful day. Wanted to get some things done on the show today. Got a good topic. We're going to have some good information I'm going to try to put out today. But other than that, Coach, how about yourself?
Hey, doing good. You know, it seems like summer's coming on the tail end of the beginning of fall, but it's all good. You know, we'll take it.
Exactly. I agree, Coach. So listen, let's jump into our topic today. And, today, Coach, I want to talk about women. It's put on my heart. And also, earlier this week, I had a mom who approached me, and she was having a lot of difficulty with her kids. And she made it clear. She said, this wouldn't be so hard, and I wouldn't have to go through this if these kids' father would step up. And, some of the same old things we hear over and over again, Coach. But what I wanted to do was take it to a different extreme and talk about women. And so with that being said, Coach, women to me are our lifeblood. They're the beginning, they're the end. Without women, there's no me, there's no you, there's no us. Mm-hmm. And, over the years, and even probably before my existence, I'm starting to see pattern in women's or things in women's that are kind of hindering not only the women, but the men as well. And no, I'm not putting any blame on women. No, I'm not saying that women are at fault. But one of the things that, I want to talk about, and this is something I think that actually the title, you hear a lot of women say, well, when it comes to men, if I'm not doing it, another woman will. Or if I'm not pleasing this man, there's other women out there who will. So with that being said, Coach, we know that the ratio, there's always, I'm not sure what the national ratio is anymore, but at one point in time, I think in 2005, the ratio was something like 4-1. So for every one man, there were 4 women. I think it's actually gone up since then. Mm-hmm. But so we do know that the number of women outnumber men. So therefore, men have the advantage. If there's a woman out there, who's, say for example, a man dates a woman or he's pursuing a woman and a man looking for a certain quality, he feels that, okay, well, I have a choice because there's more women than men. Well, that's true. Mm. However, Coach, getting back to the moral standpoint, it's like, as a woman, you have to have not only the morals, but you have to have the respect for yourself and say, okay, you know what? If this man is not willing to, first and foremost, follow my rules, follow my guidelines, treat me like the queen that I am, then he needs to be a man who needs to go to another woman because I'm not going to put up with anything less than the best. Coach, I'm going to let you weigh in a little bit on this topic.
Yeah, and we got somebody that has joined us as a guest. Can you state your name, please? Is somebody there? Thought I heard a beep. Kenan, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, Coach.
Okay, I thought somebody came in. But no, Kenan, you are absolutely right to analyze this and to look at this because as you deal with families on a regular basis in your region and throughout the world online, we find these conflicts between men and women, and also we find that there is some kind of roadblock to moving on to the next one. So you're absolutely right to analyze it and to ask the question. But I think there is also a mentality that has evolved over the years. If one man won't, another man will. Or if one woman won't, another woman will. Which kind of indicates, hey, I may not be, I may only be able to go but so far with you. I don't know, but I kind of tend to think that it's a personal development issue. You know what I'm saying? Now I am hearing an echo now, so I don't know exactly. You might want to turn the volume down on your phone or something. But it may be a mentality there that, like you were talking about for the hood thing. It's just a mentality and an impatience and a personal development issue. So I don't know. It's good to analyze it so we can look at ourselves, find out where we can improve, Keenan. But I can't put my finger on it per se.
Right. And Coach, so this is the thing. A lot of times women don't understand the power that they have, and true, granted, in the concept and the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at it from a biblical standpoint, Christ intended the man to lead, but at the same time, he did not intend for a man to lead you to your demise, or a man to lead you improperly. So with that being said, it's like women have to understand, like, look, yeah, no one wants to be lonely, man or woman. No one wants to be lonely. Everyone wants to have a companion to love them. But when you're being loved in the wrong way, or you're not being loved adequately, and and men are manipulating and using, and this is the thing, I'm not talking about a teenager in high school, who
I'm talking about grown folks.
Feels like having 2 and 3 girlfriends and trying to find themselves. And
yeah, you talking about grown folks? Are
you saying something?
I said you talking about grown folks.
Exactly. I'm talking about grown folks, men, who are in their mid to late 30s, 40s, and stuff, and who are still trying to play the field and using women and stuff like that. And that's not acceptable, primarily from the man's standpoint. And men, we need to start being more accountable for our actions, so our women won't have to deal with this. But as a woman, the burden is going to be put on you. Like, for example, if you do make one of these men who do not have your best interest at hand, what's going to happen is you're going to be the one who's carrying the burden. So, for example, you get pregnant. Well, we see now in today's society, men are not there. So you're going to be the one responsible for that child. What I've heard 1,000 times, Coach, is that men are not being prepared or not being able to accept or take care of that responsibility. And we've talked about this in the past. Well, when you have so many single parent homes and the primary provider being the woman, well, the man has no real understanding of what it's like to be a man. So you're right. They get out into the world and they try to have a family on their own, and they're not prepared early, so they don't know what it's like. They've been taught that they're the man at an early age, the late teens. They have never had the responsibility of carrying a family or caring for or managing a home, so they get out and try to do it on their own and they can't succeed. So with that, I look at the woman saying, look, I'm going to be responsible for myself. If a guy comes and tries to run game, I'm not going to fall for it, no matter how sweet it sounds, no matter how good it looks, no matter how pretty the package is. My self-worth, and that's what it's about. It's my self-worth is going to be more than what this guy is trying to either persuade me to do or lead me to do.
I know what you're saying, and it's easier said than done, and I validate and accept that as being what we aim for. But the truth of the matter is, as you already know, it's nothing that you don't already know, is that so many of our young ladies and young men are walking by their feelings. I mean, we're living in a society right now, Keenan, and it goes back to your book, My Daddy Taught Me That. Just the very title alone gives inference to structure, guidelines, facilitation. Don't get me started. You're starting to throw wood at the fire here. We would love to be able to disseminate information, and it is the goal that we have to get people to better themselves. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge the fact that we live in a culture that is not what your daddy taught you and what my daddy taught me. This society that we live in now, in the American culture that we indulge ourselves in, whether we almost like it or not, and almost, if you ain't careful, you'll slip right into it, it's all about me. How I feel right now and what makes me, quote unquote, which I never heard, and my daddy sure enough didn't teach me, do what makes you happy. I never heard that till I was grown. And so we have a plethora of young people out there. When I say young people, I'm talking about young adults out there who perhaps have gone through unfortunate situations where their father was not there, or their grandfather was not there, or their uncle was not there in the proper way. And so now they're grown and they're really trying to make stride, but they're wondering, what do I do with these feelings, that where I keep attracting bad men, bad experiences, but yet when I say no to these men, and yet when I push back on these men, I still have this strong craving. I'm talking about strong, kid. I'm talking about stronger than strong craving for, the booty call. I have a strong craving to get my bills paid, and I have a strong craving to get these kids to hush hush so I can concentrate on how to get ahead. And this kind of culture will not stand. It is impossible. It is impossible. And I want you to I'm asking a question now. Is it possible? I'm saying it's impossible to live in a world where you walk by feelings, or must we find principles somewhere that we can recycle and say, you know what? This is what I stand for. This is what I live by. And Keenan, my last final sentence on that is what our daddies taught us.
Exactly. And, Coach, I know we're about to take a commercial break here, so when we come back, I will actually piggyback on what you said, which was some great information, and actually elaborate a little bit more on this topic.
Hey, that'll work. You guys are listening to the Keenan Lake Show right here on SIBN Radio. We'll be right back.
You're listening to SIBN Radio, powered by Select USA TV. Tune in 24/7 at www.415-96radio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Select USA TV and on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Select USA TV.
You're listening to SIBN Radio. We'll be right back in a moment. Now is the time to have your business online with the Select USA TV iBroadcasting Network. That's right, SIBN or Select USA TV will produce your video on the spot. Picture business videos, on location streaming videos, or on location production videos. Dial 678-830-3118 or call the office at 404-910-5019 Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now is the time to have your business online with SIBN. The Select USA TV iBroadcasting Network now offers picture videos, on-location streaming videos, and on-location production videos for your event cause, brand, or mission. Call today, 678-830-3118 or 404-910-5019.
Now is the time. Now is the time. Your radio show on SIBN Radio. You're ready to share your message with the world. Then call 404-910-5019. That's right, call 404-910-5019. Producing your radio show on SIBN Radio. For more information, dial 404-910-5019. That's right. 404-910-5019. Now is the time.
Keenan, we're back. Thank you so very much for joining us at SIBN Radio, the Keenan Lake Show. Keenan, you were saying, great conversation, man.
Yeah, Coach, you made a very valid point, and actually to piggyback and actually comment on what you said, you're absolutely right, Coach. I think in today's society, we do lead by our feelings more. We live by our feelings more. And with that being said, no one's taught anymore, with the exception, because you understand, Coach, like the church community is slowly dying out. And our younger generation of kids are not going to church nearly as much as my parents and your parents, and even perhaps we went to church as young men. Mm-hmm. So what's happening is you're not getting a whole lot of youth and folks in church today. So that whole mind frame of dying to your flesh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tyson, one of our regular guests, says this all the time. You know, you have to die to your flesh every day. So basically, what that means is we can't. We're led by our feelings as human beings. You know, we're led by our emotions. You know, we get mad, we get happy, we get sad. But being Christians and being people of Christ, we have to know that we can't live by our feelings. Okay, just because you feel sad or because you're mad at someone doesn't mean that you can do certain things or live this way or live that way. So I think you hit a nail on the head, Coach, with what you said.
Well, here's another.
But bringing it back to this too, Coach.
Even
though we're led by our feelings, and this is why, and once again, to all my women out there, I am not targeting you. I am not trying to badmouth you, put you down. But what I want to do is raise awareness and make you more conscious of this. Like, for example, Coach, you know what I do for a living. For those who are listening, I'm a social worker, a child protective social worker. I deal with families and youth and young adults every day. But, Coach, I see this on a regular basis. I'll encounter a mother with 4 or 5 kids, and she'll have 4 or 5 different baby daddies. And to me, it's like, okay, you know what? And don't get me wrong. The men are just as responsible as the women, and should be held as just as much accountable. But they're not. So, and the men are not stepping up. So it's like when you see that, and the woman has to have 5 kids, and it's like, wow, she has 5 baby daddies. A lot of times people look at that like, dang, she's nasty, or what? How did this happen? How could she's trifling?
Right.
So, but it's like back in the day, women valued themselves more, and women had more, and I'm not saying that women today don't, because there's a lot of women who value themselves and value their standards and stuff like that. But it's like we have to get back to this as a whole, and women have to say, okay, you know what? Once again, I'm not going to be willing to subject or sacrifice what I have to offer you, for your self-gain, or just because you told me you love me at this point in time or you like me. My grandmother used to say this a lot. Why should the man? Let me see. Let me make sure I get this right.
They say why. I know what you're getting ready to say. It's about the milk and the cow.
About the milk and the cow. Why should you?
How they get the
buy
cow
the
when
cow
they get the milk?
If you're getting the milk for free.
Right. But
so
what?
It's like,
But to your point, that you brought up last week, and I think that maybe from this side we must attack it because you brought it up in the last show. That's the thing. That's the going thing. It's just like when you and I were talking about kids who, if you get an F, now this puts you in position, to lead in the hood. Who's got the most Fs and who's been to jail the most, and so who's got the most baby daddies is a popular thing in the hood. And as you said, this in the long term now, I think the parents eventually begin to see that this mentality, does affect us long term. But in the meantime, I mean, wow, Keenan, it's like, man, wow, it's hard to shake that. It's because, in the hood, let me just divert real quick and say this. In the hood, if you don't have any values, I'm talking about from what your daddy taught you, or some man in authority who was fair and balanced, to use Fox Network's words, okay? If you don't have those kinds of values along with the mothering and along with the nurturing, if you don't have that balance coming to the table with these kids, you're at risk of falling down somewhere, as we are at risk when you have 2 parents. You see what I'm saying? It's just that the risk is increased. So I think you raise with your show, you're raising so many valid issues that when people listen, they should be taking notes, because as I want to say right now, first thing is somebody that's listening to us and you got a girlfriend and they kicking it and they got 3, 4, and 5, 6 babies. First thing you want to do is remember, you got to find a principle to stand on. Principles are generally almost rooted in moral or spiritual depth. They're not fly-by-night principles changing with the wind and the weather, but something that you can stand on if you had to get it from a pastor, if you have to get it from a mentor. But Keenan, these issues are hood issues, as you said on the last show, and it's popular to have 4 and 5 and 6 babies now. Man, it was a shame to have that later.
And you're absolutely right, Coach. And this is what's leading us to our demise as a country. I'm not saying as a race, or I'm talking about as an entire country. But Coach, what I like to do is this. Okay, I like to be able to try to talk about issues and try to raise awareness about them, but also give feedback on how to correct and maybe solve the problem if I can. Now, what you said, Coach, is right. You're right. You know, sometimes, you know, in fact, you know, I'm actually in the process now in my program, Coach. I'm doing a Making Proud Choices sex education STD prevention program for my youth, my young men. So I'm actually in the middle. It's like a 10-week course that I'm training my young men now. So, you know, my young men are 12 through 19, and we're talking about sex, we're talking about sexually transmitted diseases, we're talking about all of that, Coach. And when I was talking to them about women, one of the things that I was talking to them about was how, you know, the intercourse part, when a man enters a woman, he's entering into her and she's receiving him. I'm trying to give them information about that, right, Coach?
The gates.
One of my young, go ahead.
The gates. Go ahead. The gates.
Yep. So one of my young men pointed out, he said, Mr. Keenan, you know, things have changed since you were young, you know, and I'm 36, folks. I'm not ancient, you know, I don't feel like I'm old at all, but, you know, according to my kids, it's like, you know, things have changed. And he said the way things are now, he said the girls are the one that's asking us. The girls are the one who tells us if we're scared if we don't, you know. So, and I'm like, are you serious? Like what's happening? What's going on? He's like, well, and actually 3 or 4 other kids interjected and said the same thing. You know, like, nah, you know, these girls these days they making it clap and they doing this and then they started. And I'm like,
the girls,
like, wow.
In other words, the girls have switched roles, and they have become the aggressors. In a negative way, because women have to be aggressive in you know, in some way, but in the negative way they become aggressive. But this was the role that men or daddies were supposed to take in a healthy, wholesome, positive way. So if we leave a position, I don't even know why you're talking about this, because you know you're gonna stir me up today. You putting fresh wood in the fire. Listen, these roles left undone makes sure we sing the song about how we didn't win at all. We are not winning. We're not winning with these, as you're saying. And so you're absolutely right. The boys, and you know what, Keenan, I always tell people on the show, and we're going to go an hour, so, you know, we're just going to relax. But listen, I always tell...
you're going to go a whole hour.
Yeah, because you're stirring me up, and I just can't. But Keenan, what I like about you is you have your finger... You're the doctor in the operating room of culture. And your kids and your boys told you exactly what's going down right now. Right now. You see what I'm saying? And that helps as you form relative solutions as a way forward to help these kids. To help them. You know what's going down, Keenan.
Well, not only that, Coach, but see, like I said earlier, Coach, and like I said, I want to make sure this is clear. Ladies, women who are listening to this, I'm not trying to put you down, but what I'm actually trying to do is instruct and advise, because what we know is that what's been constant for about the last decade is that men are not stepping up. So you're the foundation, women. You are the lifeblood of us. And you will continue to be that, and it's so sad, because now it's even more responsibility left on our women. So women, this is what because there are no men in the home, and I talk about men a lot, and I talk about young men, and you know, I focus from that standpoint of how, you know, the male in the home is affecting my young men out here in the streets and this, that, and the third. But there's a equally responsible part whereas the male not in the home affects the women and the children, the female children. And what we're seeing is that because there's no positive male role models in the home, the young girls and the young women miss that point. So, like, for example, Coach, if your daughter, okay, you know, I know you have a younger son, but your daughter, or if you had a daughter, a younger daughter, in your daughter's life, you would be that male role model for her, to let her know that she's daddy's princess, but you will also provide for her to let her know that this is how men are supposed to treat you as a woman. If you have a man that's like not opening the door for you, not showing you respect and courteous, being kind and courteous, this is how men are supposed to treat their women and talk to their women. And so she would already know going into life what it's like to have love from a man.
I want to say something.
And when they're not getting that, it's like, okay, you know, that attention from a man. what you said earlier, Coach, is that the attention that they're seeking is becoming less noble.
Yeah. But I want to say something about that, about what you said earlier about me being a dad. I do have 2 girls. And my daddy taught me a lot about 2 girls. But what my daddy did not teach me, and I do want to emphasize did not, he did not teach me, and ladies, I'm sorry, but if you get mad at us, this is just a reality of the balance of points here. That there are bad women out there just like there are bad men. There are unhealthy women out there just like there are unhealthy men. My daddy always taught me that I was responsible for everything, and that if anything went wrong anywhere at any time, it was my fault. And that is an unbalanced point and mindset and principle to stand on, and it has cost me with my girls. Let me say that again. It has cost me. The ignorance of that fact has laid me on my back. I need some help right there. You see what I'm saying? So now my girls then, since I married, initially, my first marriage, I married into a family that did not have men around, period, from fathers to grandfathers to uncles, the whole 9. I married into a family of the opposite of what my father had exposed me to. I need some help. And thereby the mother began the central influence in my daughters' lives and did not re-emphasize how important my role was and diminished my role. I need some help. You pushing me now. I'm going to have to go to commercial. You pushing my buttons today. But first of all, there's bad men out there, unhealthy men, however you want to say it, politically speaking, politically correct. But there's also good in everyone. There's bad on both sides. And if you're a young lady listening, first of all, we're going to say you're a queen. But that's if your throne is intact. And we'll talk about that when we come back, Keenan.
All right, Coach.
You got me stirred up today. We'll be right back. This is Keenan Lake Show on SIBN Radio.
To the sounds of SIBN FM Radio. Find us on Facebook at Select USA TV, Twitter at Select USA TV, and like us anywhere SIBN Television and Radio is found. You're listening to the sounds of your lifestyle improvement station, changing the way we live.
I am Donnell Bella, a.k.a. world-famous DJ Donnie B. You are tuned in to SIBN Radio, your lifestyle improvement station. I'm telling y'all to turn it up, turn it up.
Find us on Facebook at Select USA TV, Twitter at Select USA TV, and like us anywhere SIBN Television and Radio is found.
We do not take what you're giving to us for granted. By all means, we invite you to be a part of our family in a deeper way. You can visit our websites, www.sibntelevision.com. You'll see a community page at the top there, and you can join free of charge with your email and share your thoughts, pictures, and so much more right there on the site. And for those of you that would like to listen more regularly to our block programming, you can visit www.sibnradio-by-selectusatv.com. We're now looking for interns for the SIBN networks, and there is no shortage of work that needs to be done. Simply email us your bio or resume to globalcoverage@selectusatv.info. New programming is always a consideration here at the networks, and we invite you to share your ideas, concepts, or vision. As we move forward with a global multimedia platform, we expect great things. We now want to return you to your regularly scheduled program. And again, from our hearts to yours, thank you. Yeah, we're back here, SIBN Radio. Thank you so very much for joining us right here. Keenan, I tell you, you got it stirred up. But, to your point, Keenan, you're there. To your point, there are bad and good on both sides. And might I add, that there is no shortage. There is a shortage of knowledge. That's why you got to have 2 parents or two mentors, because my daddy taught me a lot of things. But the one central thing I would have never imagined. I thought my mother was an angel, for real. No matter what she did, you was taught to respect her, but it went overboard, Keenan. It went overboard for me. And so I think you're bringing up a great point for those women that are listening, that listen, you could have had a dad at home, but then, you know, it's something that he might not have taught you that leaves you in the thicket for these ills that we mentioned earlier on. But I believe it's a great point.
Yeah, that's a very valid point too, Coach. I mean, just because we talk about things, you know, my book is called My Daddy Taught Me That. And just because we focus on, you know, information and things that our fathers taught us, a lot of times, Coach, you'll be surprised, but you know, and maybe not too surprised, but I hear this a lot when I'm out marketing my brand or trying to draw awareness. I hear a lot of the times, you know, and excuse my language, folks, but I hear a lot of the times, my daddy never taught me a damn thing.
Right.
You know, or my father never taught me anything. You know, so, and I hear that frequently. I hear that a lot.
Right.
And you're absolutely right, Coach. You know, you hear that a lot. You're absolutely
it's right, very pointed right. When they say it, ain't it?
Yeah, it is. You know, and to that, you know, you're right, Coach. But to add to that, you know, there are things that our fathers didn't teach us. There are things that our fathers perhaps were not equipped to teach us, or didn't know what to teach us, or just didn't teach us, you know, by default. But what I want to make clear, and what I want to let our ladies know is this, okay? Once again, I'm not singling or targeting any single mother out there with 4 and 5 kids or anything like that. But, you know, when we make mistakes in this world, you know, that's just it. You know, you make a mistake and you try to learn from it. You know, what I don't understand is when you make the same mistake over and over again. So you're a single mother. You know, you meet a no-good dad 1 or 2 times. Well, okay, you know what? I've done this twice. You know, I've had 2 children by 2 deadbeat dads who are not around, who are not taking responsibility for these children. So this is where we have to start being better. Okay, like I said, you know, you make a mistake. You were 17 years old. You got hooked up with the wrong guy. This guy promised you the world. It didn't happen. Okay, you got caught up again. So now you made that same mistake twice. But when it starts happening 3 and 4 and 5 times, that's when you have to start looking at yourself and start to say, you know what, what's up? You know, I can't keep doing this. Because what you said in a lot of our shows, Coach, is this: after a while, we as society start paying the price for this situation.
You know what I like about life, Keenan, and this is something that my grandfather probably taught me. It's an equal. Nobody gets off. Whatever you think your struggle is out there listening to us on SIBN Radio Keenan Lake Show, someone else has a struggle in a whole nother area. Life is an equalizer. It may seem on the outskirts thereof that some of us have a worser set of cards, but if they keep on living, they're still being issued cards. Cards are coming from the deck, and it's so easy to feel so bad about decisions you've made. It's so easy to regret. It's so easy to give in to that guy because you have internalized. Not only have you committed the deeds that violate whatever it was that you wish you stood for, that you wish your father would have taught you, your mother would have taught you, but you're also now dealing with a belief system that says, I deserve this. And so you have to change yourself from the inside out. And we are not as men, and we are not as citizens exempt from any personal development issue. Well, you'll
be surprised. You'll be surprised. I mean, you know, and I hate to interject and interrupt you, Coach. In fact, no, go ahead. I'm not. You go ahead and finish your thought, Coach.
No, but I'm trying to show the balance of it, and I think that what this show is about, the Keenan Lake Show, is to show the emergency of the reality of it. So I'm just pointing out the balance of it because I don't have boots on the ground there in your region, but you have boots on the ground and you're showing the impact. This is the impact report of the Keenan Lake Show. That there are folks, and I'll let you finish, you know, what you're going to say, but there are folks in trouble with this.
Yeah. And Coach, you'll be surprised. What I was going to say is you'll be surprised of, first of all, folks, let me just say this. We all have issues. We all have problems. We all have things that we can improve and work on. Nobody in this world is perfect. Nobody has all the answers, okay? I'm going to get that out there first and now. But with that being said, you know, we all have development issues. Like, nobody was raised perfect. Everybody, your family, the way you were raised, your family's perception and agendas and the way their beliefs and all that stuff. So, for example, I talk about this all the time too. Like, just because you were raised in a white family, you were raised with your prejudice. You were raised with your belief systems. You were raised with the things that your family was taught over the years. The same thing in a black family. So when you add all that up, we all have struggles. We all have things that we struggle and deal with. So don't feel like because, you know, you might have 3 kids or 4 kids or 5 kids or whatever. You know, that it's like, well, something's wrong with me and I'm broken, or, you know, no. But there are places that you can, you know, there are people that you can see. And let me say this too, I want to make this clear. Just because people talk to therapists, just because people see mental health providers, that doesn't mean that you're crazy. That doesn't mean that that you have a mental health problem and that, you know, that you're super crazy and have to be hospitalized or anything like that. Some of our brightest and best see therapists every day of their lives.
That's right.
Now, I guess back what we were talking about, Coach, you know, when I was talking about earlier my youth and my kids and my youth talking about the women or the young girls who approach them, you know, this is just an example, a small example of what's happening with our youth. You know, like you said too, Coach, back in the day, the young men were the aggressors, but now we have the young women being the aggressors, and it, to me, it's totally flip-flop. And that may indicate a breakdown in what we were talking about as far as no men in the home, no positive fathers in the home to show these women. So, women, you have a lot on your plate as it is, and now I guess I'm actually telling you to take on even more of a burden, take on even more of a parenting role or a provider role, because it's up to you to start making these things correct and start to make these issues that we're having in this country change and switch. And with that being said, though, what I will say is this: nothing can be done, you know, and this is something that I've actually learned in the midst of doing the work that I'm doing. We can't continue to approach and try to solve issues without putting Christ in the middle of it. If we don't have, if we don't attack this problem from a biblical, like you said it earlier in this segment, Coach. We have to have a principle foundation to start with. And my suggestion is that if you don't have Christ in the middle of what you're doing, then your foundation is not going to be solid, and it's not going to be able to stand on anything.
Well, that goes back to a point that I'll go back to a point that I was going to say. Another point I was going to make. First of all, if you want to improve your life, no matter who you are in this world, if you want to improve your life, some things are appropriate across the board. For instance, you need a mentor. For the place that you never have any reference for, a place that you want to go to move from where you are now, you need a mentor. You need a mentor maybe in the form of in person, if you can get that. But if not, someone that can, a book that you can read, a series of books that you can read, a series of videos that you can follow. You know, I couldn't stand Anthony Robbins until I was in my 40s, late 40s. I'm just being honest with you. But then I could finally comprehend that he wasn't in it for the game. You know what I'm saying? That this guy has some real principles and he was dishing out the real deal. But for a lot of you that may be listening, the first thing is, okay, get a mentor. But the second thing is, across the board, if you want something of value, you're going to have to pay for it. And our daddies did teach us this. The way of suffrage is to deny oneself. Well, one of the things that successful people are around the world are starting to disseminate is that we have goals for everything else but spiritual. We got goals for finances. We got goals for how to get the baby daddy to pay. We got goals for how we're going to get a car, even though we don't have a license. I need some help right there. We got goals for how we're going to get the Section 8. We got goals for how we're going to get a house. You know, we got goals for how we're going to get a job or how we're going to get drugs. We got goals for bad things and good things, but we don't have spiritual goals. What's up with that? Back in the day, you knew you could not step anywhere in life without running into some you know what, and you needed to have God on your side. I need some help right there. So
right.
principles are not only rooted in Christianity, they're rooted in whatever you believe in, but you need to ask yourself, well, what do I believe in? And if you have a belief system where you believe in something spiritual, that has to be the part of the equation for everything you do. And Keenan, let me make a confession. There are times when I am so under pressure that I want to be a thug, like, because it's popular to be a thug, it's popular to be, player and a punk, you know what I'm saying? And there are times, I'm not going to lie to you, there are times when I say, I wish my daddy would have let me do that, I mean, it's just a kid in me, just wishing, because they seem to be getting all the play and all the attention and all the reviews and everything. But in all reality, if I even tried, the principles of my life and of the spiritual dimensions that I've been exposed to have such an anchor in my soul, I don't even know how deep they run. That's what a principle will do for you.
You're exactly right, Coach. You're exactly right. And actually, to elaborate on that, Coach, I think, we all see, and I think us as men who pride ourselves on trying to be good men and live according to the ways that we were taught, you always see that bad boy type, and I don't want to say no names, but that bad boy type that seems like they get all the girls, they get all the money, they get all the, like you said, all the play, all the feedback. But ultimately, that's not how God intended it to be.
That's not reality.
That's not going to win the day. Exactly. At the end of the day, that's not going to do anything. And actually, who knows? We get a snapshot of their lives through the media, but who knows what type of problems that they deal with and have to face with in their lives.
Very well
said.
So
yeah, because one of the things I want to tell the women that I'm dealing with is this. There's ways to address the concerns. There's ways to address the concerns that we're dealing with, and one of the ways I had a friend who sent me a comment that said, explain to the women. So one thing that I would say, women, if you're dealing with men who are not anchored in Christ, okay, that's one way. Whenever you meet a man, whenever you're dealing with the man, you need to make sure that he's rooted in Christ, because that's one way that they can lead you to do right. Now, don't get it wrong. Men who are anchored in Christ, it's not that they're going to be 100% perfect, but that's one of the ways right there. I know we probably have to go to a commercial soon.
Yeah, because when we come back from commercial, I'm going to share with those women that are listening in live and on demand secrets, 2 key secrets to understanding men, period. Good men, bad men, and beyond. Now, I know some of y'all listening want a bad boy anyhow, and nothing we can say will change that. But that's okay. When I share with you these 2 secrets, you may understand why you want a bad man. All right? So we're going to go to commercial. Because Keenan done stirred it up. The Keenan Lake Show is hot today on SIBN Radio. We'll be right back in just a few minutes, man. You guys stand by.
The number 1 show on SIBN television and radio. The Coach's Corner's Daily Show. Now airing at www.415-96radio.com for hardcore motivation and daily inspiration. Tune in. That's www.415-96radio. That's www.415-96radio.com. SIBN Television and Radio Networks has openings for internships. Learn internet radio, web TV production, audio production, broadcasting platform integration, and so much more. Visit www.sibntelevision.com. That's www.sibntelevision.com. Click on the icon for internships. Complete your application, and a staff member of SIBN Television and Radio Networks will contact you immediately. This is your season. Your talent is required. Your skills will be upgraded when you connect with SIBN Television and Radio Networks today. Visit www.sibntelevision.com. Click on the internship program. Complete your application, and someone from the staff will contact you immediately. For more information, dial 404-910-5019 or email us at global coverage.
You're listening to SIBN Radio on the Select USA TV iBroadcasting Network. You're listening to SIBN Radio.
Hey, we're back here at the Keenan Lake Show, hot and on fire. Listen, Keenan, real quick, before you go to some more practical points, I want to give the ladies some secrets to understanding how we roll out, okay? Good and bad. First of all, men are attracted by what they see, but they function by what they achieve. Let me repeat that. Men are attracted by what they see, and they function centrally. Now, every man is different. We're just talking about the central man, you know, the universal man, if you will. You know what I'm saying? We function by what we achieve. So, by all means, every man around the world is always trying to achieve something. It could be good or bad. It could be up or down. It could be educated or uneducated. It could be dumb or smart, but they're still trying to get something achieved. If it's drugs, if it's trying to get paid, you know, that's the big thing in the hood. You know, I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna make it rain. You know what I'm saying? But if it's an education, some men that are coming out of jail trying to get their GED. Men are achievement based. Women are emotional based. That's not a bad thing for men to be achievement based, and not a bad thing for women to be emotionally based. Women can relate more. Men can relate more to projects, to things, and they have to be orientated in a family environment. The second secret is that and I tell some of my women friends this all the time, all men have a hunter's instinct. Trust me on that one. All men, married, single, saved, sinner, all of us men. Why? We need to have that in order to achieve. We can smell. A good man that's trained can smell an opportunity. Even a man that's untrained can smell an opportunity that may be more so taking advantage of someone. But a good man trained can smell an opportunity. You know, Adam, when he was made, say this and I'll be done with it. Adam, when he was made, was put in a garden that had everything. And his only job was to protect it and of course, harvest the fruit therein. But his job changed after the violation and the transgression of God's law. It changed that he had to till the garden. I need some help. So, you know, most of us, all men, universal men, we're achievement based. Look at our cars. What do we talk about? We talk about our cars. We talk about our work. Women talk about they mama, baby, daddies. That may sound bad, but at least they talking about their kids. So let's prop out to the women, the mothers out there. You're talking about your kids because that's the way you were made. But at the end of the day, if you know that a man's got a hunter's instinct, I don't care how nice he look, how fine he is, how well he talks, how silk he is, at the end of the day, he may not be after you. He may be after your daughter. He may not be after your daughter. He may be after your money, but he's after something. I need some help.
You're right, Coach. And listen, to all our women out there, you know, my same friend who I was talking about earlier, she actually wanted me to give this advice too. Not only do you need to find a man, in my opinion, who is rooted in the Word, and when I say rooted in the Word, ladies, I'm not talking about a man who can, you know, read the Bible frontwards and backwards and can knows every scripture in the Bible, because each person's walk is different. But as long as they have that base, that's what I'm talking about. But however, you need to make sure you are looking for men who are, like Coach said too, who have some type of desire in them. Because what I've seen in my journey and what I've seen in my work is that we have a lot of men out there who are lazy. A lot of men who don't want to excel. They look for women to take care of them because they've been either pampered or babied their whole lives. So they look for that motherly woman who, and a lot of times you'll see a lot of younger men dating older women because they want to have a woman to take care of them. And
they never
so
learn.
You need to make sure you have.
They never learn they never learn to achieve anything. So they rest their hats on other people's achievements, and that's, as you said, that's not good.
That's not good. So women, you need to look for men who, like I said, have something on their minds, who are, like Coach said, or trying to achieve or accomplish something. The other thing is this too. Women, if a man does not treat you like the queen that you are, then you should not deal with it. Now, what that means is, I'm not saying that he lays down and does everything that you tell him to do. Okay? Honey, I want to go left. Yes, we're going to go left. You know, I want to go right. Whatever you say, dear. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But if you have a man who's firm, who's able to stand up and say, you know, this is what I need, can be assertive, express themselves, but not demeaning what you say or being domineering. You know, find a man, like I said, who can treat you like that queen, who can respect you, respect your decisions, respect your input. Those are ways that can kind of help you when you're dealing with men. Okay, now the other thing is this too, for all my women out there who have been in abusive and battered situations or relationships, please don't get out of that. If you have a man who's been hitting on you and who continues to do that, he's not going to stop, okay? Just because he says he's going to stop, because he promises you the world, if this has been going on for some time, or even if it's something that has happened, you know, put it like this. I'm 36 years old, and I've never put my hands on a woman. I don't believe in that. I don't think that that's right. So if you're in an abusive relationship, you need to make sure you get out of that or get help immediately.
And if you're sitting in the dark with no food and no lights, that's just as bad, okay? He doesn't bring the money home. He's sleeping around. You know what I'm saying? The gas is off. You know, the water's off. You know, let's not kid around. I've been lately hearing in the past 10 years of women who have men who just they're using the place as a refuge. And nothing else. You know, they don't come home. They don't bring home the money. I need some help. They don't answer their phones. You know, the kids is in trouble. The mama doing the best she can, but she can't do nothing when the water ain't running. I need some help. The gas is off. The lights are off. There's no gas in the car. She's trying to go to PTA and trying to go to work. So, I mean, that's just the same as being beat and being screamed at and cussed at and called all kind of names. Listen, I want to tell you something. It's hard as hell to change anything. You know what I'm saying? If you go outside and try to plant, this past summer I had told my son, I said, we're going to have a garden. And I knew I was lying, because we ain't going to have no garden, because I know we ain't going to have no time to deal with what we going to have to deal with when we try to put that seed in the ground and everything but the sun come up, okay? Weeds, caterpillars. So anyway, we stepped out on what you call faith. And I do mean we stepped out on faith, but it was a little bit of foolishness. But we stepped out and planted a tomato plant. And I was proud of myself. Really? I mean, I thought I was doing something. I thought I was achieving something until I saw 4 caterpillars eating up all the tomatoes. Why? Because I didn't put no kind of preventive additives into the soil, because I wasn't thinking deep enough. Why am I saying that? I mean, that's just a little example. It doesn't matter what you try to change. If you get a brand new car and you drive it off the lot and you call all your friends and tell them how great this opportunity to drive this new car is, I bet you within the first week, 2 weeks, 30 days, somebody tries to hit your car. Watch. It's just the nature. And that's why I'm saying this, so that you don't take it personal. Please don't take it personal when you try to change and you run into opposing measures and forces. It's the universe. It's the way the universe is. If you try to change anything, you will run into some opposition. But if you hold your ground, and through Christ, that's how I've been able to make it. That's just my own personal testimony, right, Keenan? That's how we've been able to maintain. You know what I'm saying?
And, Coach, I want to add this final thought, too, because I know we're about to wrap up here in a few minutes. Ladies out there, too, you know, me and Coach talked about, you know, the type of men to look for, what you need to look for in men, and how men should treat you. But ladies also, too, before finding any man, before you know, first of all, this is the thing too. Let me say this: women, if you should not be looking for men. That's just not how it should be. A man should be able to find you. A man should be able to see in you the worth that that he's looking for, and then that way you can come together. So my thing is this: before that man who Christ has intended for you finds you, you need to work on yourself and make sure that first and foremost you're fixing all of the. Either if there are any things that's broken, you fix those, but you're working on your confidence, your self-confidence, knowing that, once again, we as people, and I mean men, women, black, white, green, purple, we all have issues that we need to deal with and work out. But with that being said, you work on yourself, you have that self-esteem, that self-confidence to know that what you're doing is right, knowing that, okay, you know what, I'm working. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm rooted in this. I'm grounded in that. And then being able to say, okay, you know what? I have my self-esteem intact. You know, I'm ready. So when that man does come along, and the other thing is this too, ladies. Don't think that for a second that men know everything. We need you in our lives to help us too. Right. We need strong women. That's what my mother used to always say this a lot to me. You know, behind every good man, there's a better woman. You know, so we need women to help us. You know, I've also heard in movies, men learn how to learn how to dress from women, and men learn how to be, like Coach said earlier, be silk and smooth from a good woman showing them how to do that. So women, we need you. Men need you, and now in today's society, we need you more than ever. we need you more than ever to help us be better. To help us to say, you know what? Like, for example, Coach, think about it. You as hard as you work, as much as you do in your life, if you didn't have your wife there to tell you, baby, you're such a good man, and instill in you those things and hold you down, we need that. So women, once again, it's not all about finding a good man. It's about being able to have yourself prepared, so when that man finds you, you're able to help him out as well.
Because, Keenan, you hit right on the head, and I'm telling you, I don't know if you're an arsonist or not, but you're about ready to start another fire here, and we'll have to save that conversation for another show, because it's one thing to want a man, but it's another thing to keep a man. I need some help. It's one thing to want a woman, it's another thing to keep a woman, and so we have a lot of retention issues in our relationships. Because, as you said, Keenan, we cheated on the preparatory work that we should have been doing on ourselves. And perhaps we attracted someone who had the outer shell of all the measurability factors that we were taught in this new dynamic of being taught. But then when we begin to get into relationships and crises begin to unfold and tragedies begin to unfold and opportunities begin to diminish and resources begin to get depleted, then now we see the real carcass of what this man or this woman really is. And our eyes are wide open and our ears are perking and like, okay, now I done took enough crap when I was growing up.
Right.
I ain't,
right. And because I'm going to say this last thing. We started the show talking about if one woman doesn't, another woman will. Mm-hmm. Let me say this to you also, ladies. The same way you got that man, if you got that man in some kind of ill gain or so you were creeping, you were doing this, that's the same way you'll lose him. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth. Like if a man is willing to cheat on you with another, cheat on you with his wife or his girlfriend, or you got this man in some type of manner where it was wrong, or mm-hmm. some trifling stuff was going on. Mm-hmm. It's not what me and Coach talked about this entire show was being grounded in principles, mm-hmm. and also having that foundation. If you start a relationship on a shaky foundation, it's not going to last.
Ooh, somebody said how you start is how it's going to finish anyhow. So, I mean, Keenan, you just hot today. You just hot. You calmly hot, but my God, he got a lighter and a book of matches and some gasoline all at the same time. Hey, we're going to take a commercial break real quick, Keenan. We're going to come back with your social media contact information, talk a little bit about those T-shirts real quick. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Keenan, stand by.
All right.
Responsible, accountable. Who taught you that? My daddy taught me that. That's right, the new book, all the way from Asheville, North Carolina, representing the legacy of Benny Lake, is Keenan Lake, the author of My Daddy Taught Me That, the book and the program for young men in Asheville, North Carolina, and throughout the region. Tune in to the program, the project, and the book at mydaddytaughtmethat.com. For more information, email lake@mydaddytaughtmethat.com or call 828-582-2261. That's 828-582-2261. mydaddytaughtmethat.com. All right, you heard the phone number. Keenan, give them the Twitter information and the website, and talk a bit quick about those T-shirts.
All right, Coach. Well, listen, folks, if you want to reach out and talk to me or have any comments on the show, you can first reach me at my Twitter. That's the KL Show. That's my Twitter account. I have several Facebook accounts. The Keenan Lake is a Facebook, and also My Daddy Taught Me That is a Facebook, my Facebook link, and then my website is www.mydaddytaughtmethat.com. Now, what Coach was talking about the T-shirts, folks, is I've actually had T-shirts from my program, and they were always limited to my youth. All the young men who were in my program and got them. The T-shirts have a logo which say "My Daddy Taught Me That." Well, this past week I changed up my logo. I have a brand new logo, and actually I have shirts. If you go on the website, the MyDaddyTaughtMeThat.com website, you'll be able to see I have 3 different shirts. I have a short sleeve T-shirt, a long sleeve, and then I have a polo button-up collared shirt. So, and they all have the logo on them. It's another way to raise funding for my mentoring program, my youth program. So anybody who buys and purchases a shirt, all the proceeds are going to the organization to fund My Daddy Taught Me That men's development program. So I really appreciate the support. Please go to the website and check it out. And, Coach, I think that's about it.
That's it. Ladies, we want you to know we're proud of you. As Keenan said earlier in the show, we can't live without you. And I know we boast that we can, but we can't. And I believe it's the same with you. You can't live without us. Let's unite, get an understanding, heal from our hurts, and be better women as well as men in our regions and communities. Until next time, this is the Keenan Lake Show, live and on demand on SIBN Radio. Keenan, stand by.
Thank you for joining us today for the Keenan Lake Show. We know you will be empowered as you consider the content shared by Mr. Keenan Lake, co-host Marcus Select, and our guests. For more information about Mr. Keenan Lake, please visit www.mydaddytaughtmethat, and feel free to email us at lake@mydaddytaughtmethat.com. Books can be ordered from Mr. Lake by calling 828-582-2261. Until next time, you've been listening to the Keenan Lake Show on SIBN Radio.
I'm Namvula, aka Sunshine, and we here in South Africa are tuned in to SIBN Radio at www.415-96radio.com. If you would like to know more about the SIBN television and radio network, complete a contact form at the website www.415-96radio.com. Salet USA TV, reaching the world.